Hello YouTube, what's going on? These are the trials of this week, and if you approach them the wrong way, you're going to waste a lot of time for very little points. So let's break down what actually matters, what to prioritize, and how to get the best possible score. This week's trials are destroy fireballs, destroy arc enemies in the swamp on them battlegrounds, search kitchen cabinets, damage any arc enemies, and deal melee damage to arc enemies. Some of these have a higher value and others don't, and that's what we're going to focus on. So first, let's talk about priority. Not all of those trials are worth the same amount of time. We're gonna go through the trials from the lowest priority to the highest, so you know which trial to invest most of your time in. As always, I will give you strategies for you solo players out there, but also for your buddies if you want to play in a team. The first trial of this week, and the one with the lowest priority, because it gives the lowest amount of points, is search kitchen cabinets. Now, this trial doesn't really matter whether you do it solo or in a group. You will have to search all the kitchen cabinets anyways, right? But you have two ways to go over this trial. So first, we need to talk about which kitchen cabinets actually do count. And there's only one answer to this. It's the kitchen cabinets that have doors, no drawers, no refrigerators, nothing like that. Just like in this picture, the kitchen cabinets, they can be on top, but also on the bottom, but only the ones with the doors. No, as I said, no drawers or something like that, right? That being said, let's take a look at the maps. So you have two ways to go about this. Either you go to Dam and get a safe score, or you go to Buried City to reach the max score, which is a lot more RNG dependent. I've tested both of them. Dam is pretty safe. You get around 3,200 on Dam. You have the pattern house, which has 2 stories. Then the 3 apartments at Ruby Residence with 2 stories, and 2 Pale apartments with 2 stories as well. Once you've looted this, you can go extract. You will have around 3,200, 3,500 points. If you want to go for a max score, you will have to go to Buried City. As I said, this is a lot more RNG dependent, and I've mapped out all the buildings that actually do have kitchens in them. Those are the buildings that we're talking about. You can pause the video right here if you want. I will also post this picture in Discord. The link is down in the pinned comment down below. Every red circle has a kitchen inside with the possibility to spawn kitchen cabinets. The 3 yellow crosses are locked rooms where you need the residential mastery key to open up the room. These rooms have kitchens as well, but I would just open the rooms if you have a really good run with a decent score. Make sure to check every floor on the building on the buildings that are marked, because sometimes there are kitchens in the bottom and in the top floor. As I said before, don't waste too much time on this trial. It's only worth around 6,000 points. Not a big deal. The next trial in the priority list is damage any arc enemies. The reason this is so low in the priority list is, first of all, because you can do it together with other trials. And second of all, you only, like, the max scores I've seen so far were around 40 to 45,000. The other trials this week, you can gain way more points. As a solo, I would probably go to Buried City on the Close Scrutiny event, the new event that released. Bring 2 Jupiters and a bunch of wolf packs and kill absolutely everything you can. The bigger the arc, the more point you get, which means you want to focus on vaporizers and on rocketeers. Ideally, you want bastions and bombardiers, but those don't spawn on Close Scrutiny, but therefore you have way more vaporizers and rocketeers. If you're doing this in a group, I have heard about Blue Gate, the Lock Gate event might be a good idea, with the bombardier spawns, the rocketeers, and the leapers. You would have to split up a little bit so you can cover the entire map though. The third trial of this week in our priority list will be Destroy Fireballs. I've seen scores around 50,000 on that. Once again, I'll give you 2 maps for this. You can either do this on Blue Gate, both as a solo and as a trio. If you're doing this on Blue Gate, ideally you want the locked gate event so you have more time. But since it's not possible anymore to bring the keys with you, it's also a little bit more risky because especially as a solo, you never know if the gates are gonna open in time. If you're doing this in a team, it might be a little bit easier because you can split up and get the keys from the different locations. If you need the locations, just hit me up in the comments down below and I'll probably make a separate video about it. In general, if you're playing solo, whether you play on the locked gate event or just regular Blue Gate, you want to bring around 12 zip lines, place the zip lines in the tunnel, make sure to clear the security wing, the tunnels, also the fireball in the maintenance wing. As a solo, you can also clear the fireballs in the gate control room. If you're doing this in a group or as a trio, I would suggest that one player focuses on the security wing and the tunnel, one player focuses on the maintenance wing and the warehouse and the gate control room, and the third player focuses on reinforced reception and the village. The other map to do this on would be Stella Montes. I know that not everyone likes Stella. This is why I brought an alternative with Blue Gate. But if you're doing this on Stella, you can do this as a solo on Stella as well. You will need around 9 to 12 zip lines for this probably, and a lot of stims. If you're doing this in a group on Stella Montes, I will show you a picture that you can pause the video for the 3 different routes. So these are the routes that you can run. Basically, one player, cafeteria and atrium with archives, business center, and the lobby. One player does robotics bay and sandbox and lobby metro. And the third player does medical, the lower side of loading bay, and then assembly and the corridor. The fourth and second to most important trial of this week is destroy arc enemies in the swamp area on them battlegrounds. As always, first we need to define what the swamp actually is. Therefore, we're going to take a look at the map. So the swamp area is pretty much this part of the map. Now, you want to watch out. You don't want to get too close to this side because there is a small gap that does not count towards the swamp. If you're doing this as a solo player, so this trial you want to usually do on dam either at night or electromagnetic storm. The reason being is you want that bombardier to spawn here so you can pull the spotters as well. You want to bring as many snitch scanners as you can if you're playing this solo and place yourself around the hydroponic dome complex so you can farm the natural spawns as well. I would kill the natural spawns first, and then in the meantime, while you wait for the respawn, throw down your snitch scanners. Throw down 6 scanners in the beginning of the raid once you enter the swamp. Wolfpack them, bring a second wolfpack for the end of the raid, and then just focus on clearing the 3 main buildings on Hydroponic Dome Complex and keep throwing your scanners. Wait for the scanners to call in the wasps and then destroy the scanner because the scanner counts as well. If you're doing this in a group, you probably want to split up a little bit. I would suggest that 2 people play around the Hydroponic Dome Complex, clear the entire complex, and then 1 player probably around here because there is a lot of stuff spawning in here and you can pull a lot of arc from here. In a trio, you will need around 11 to 12 stacks of scanners per person. The strategy is basically the same. Clear the natural spawns. In your downtime, throw your scanners. Kill the snitches after they called in the wasps. And then kill the wasps. Me personally, I would bring a hole cracker for this, whether you play it solo or not. Solo or in a trio doesn't really matter. I would bring hole cracker because it fires a little bit faster than the Jupiter, and then probably a renegade or something to pull the spotters and all the other arc. The 5th trial, and the trial with the highest scoring potential this week, is deal melee damage to arc enemies. Me personally, I have respect for this to get effortless swing, which reduces the stamina cost of your melee swings. You can take a look at my skill tree right here. This is what I'm currently running. You don't need necessarily to respec for this. I just did it because it's the end of the expedition and I have more than enough space coins anyways. What else would I do with the money, right? As for strategies, you have 2 ways to go about this. You can do this on Stella Montes by mealeing shredders, and it's probably the safer way to get your score and the easier way as well. So what you want to do is basically body block the shredder in a door or somewhere in a hallway where you can easily hide. Swing out of cover, swing 3 to 4 times with your right click. That's your aim down sight on controller. You want to hit the shredder with your right click because you want to hit the head. You will get more points with your right click than with your normal attack. As you can see in this video, the right click gives you this, that's the swing from above basically. That gives 76 points. The normal attack gives around 36 or something points. So you definitely want to use your right click or aim down sight attack for this one. And then just repeat this till the shredder dies. You can do this in trios as well. Just use the same split as we talked earlier, or almost the same split, and keep mealing the shredders. The alternative to this, and this is why this is the last trial that we're talking about, because it's the highest scoring potential. I have seen scores between 190 and 200,000 for this. And that's by hitting the queen or the matriarch on its core. Now first let's talk about how to do this. You want to snap hook on top of the queen or the matriarch. It works for both the same way. Get rid of the armor that is on top, for example with an equalizer like I did here, and then melee the core. Now this is very risky because you are very vulnerable on top. Both of them will try to like shake you down and knock you down from the back. Plus you also have the vulnerability to other players and wolf packs and rocketeers and stuff like that. If you're doing the solo, I highly suggest the hedge key and the survivor augment. If you're doing this in a trio, I would suggest that one of the 3 players remains on the floor somewhere hidden with a bunch of defibs so you can res your teammates. The person who's swinging the axe should bring a lot of stims so you can stay on top of the queen or the matriarch as long as possible and just spam your swing attack. Stim as soon as you see your stamina drain so you can keep swinging. With that out of the way, let's talk about maps. And this is true for solo players and team players, but especially for solo players. You have 3 maps you can do this on: Spaceport, Bluegate, and Damn Battlegrounds. I would not suggest you do this on Spaceport unless you're a team and you have someone that can res you. The reason being is the elevator and the hatch very, very far away and you won't make it in time when you die. The second best option is probably Bluegate because you have a lot of cover and the cliffside airship, if it's active, is right around the corner. In my opinion, the best map to do this on is Damn Battlegrounds, especially for solo players. I've died 5 times only today. Make sure to bring a hatch key. Run a survivor. If you fail, you can crawl to the hatch, either the pump house or the spillway, depending on where you do this, and reset your run. If you're doing the solo, you will need a couple of tries to get a decent score. If you're doing this in a lower bracket, like let's say from rookie to probably daredevil, you can easily get away with combining the trials. For example, the swamp trial with the damage any arc trial. You should be absolutely fine to combine those trials and relax for the rest of the week. If you're in hotshot, to sum this up, prioritize the higher value trials this week. Combine the objectives if you can. Ignore the lower ones like the kitchen. It just takes so much time for just 6,000 points or whatever. And don't forget to reset your bad runs. You don't need to run it all the way to the end. I hope this was helpful. I'll be breaking down trials like this every week. So if you want to stay ahead of the leaderboard, make sure to like and subscribe. Maybe share the video with a friend. It would help me a lot with the YouTube algorithm. If you need players to play with, make sure to check the Discord down in the pinned comment below. And if you're planning on pushing to Cantina Legend, make sure to check out my full ranking guide next. All right, that being said, I wish you the best of luck. Good luck, Topside Raiders. Peace.